We'll call this meeting of the county commissioners to order. Please join us for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks everybody for being here today. We'll begin with the minutes of our November 1st meeting. Is there any addition or corrections to the minutes of our November 1st meeting?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
You have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the minutes of the November 1 meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. First on our agenda, we had Sheriff Laughlin on our agenda for the SRO agreement. He's not here. I take it the county attorney has now had an opportunity to review that agreement.
Indeed I have. I don't have any issues with it.
Okay. Either one of you have any issues with it?
No, I don't.
This is a 4-year agreement that's been drawn up between the county and the Fayette County school system to provide security officers for a paid security officer for the schools. And under this agreement, which is between us, this resource officer is going to be paid for by a grant that was received from, I can't remember the source of this particular grant.
It's called the COPS grant, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's called the COPS grant, but I can't remember who was,
Department of Justice?
could have been. So we're basically, we'll get an officer paid for, and we can share with the school system. They would work for the school system during the school year, and then the remainder of the year they would work at the sheriff's office. So we're going to try this. The school system and the sheriff's department and all of us certainly are very serious about school security and safety. And this is one item out of many that is being considered for the safety of kids in school. So right now this comes at no extra expense to the county taxpayers, but I think it's a worthwhile investment of tax dollars for sure. Either of you have any comments or questions about this agreement?
No, I think it's like you said, it's a good win-win for both sides, I believe.
It's a dirty shame we even have to be thinking about these things. But that's that's the world we live in today.
I'll move to approve the SRO agreement.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the SRO agreement between Fayette County and the Fayette County school systems. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. Michelle Dudley is here from Community Corrections. Michelle?
I'm here to ask for approval for a new hire, and I sent you her information. It'd be Andrea Hurst as a case manager. She's currently at the Henry County Sheriff's Department, and she has prior employment where she was a case manager, so I think she'll be a good fit.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Michelle on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the hire of Andrea.
Second.
We have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to approve the 144 request to hire, you Say Andrea
Hurst.
Andrea Hurst. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane.
I also would ask for a rehire of Brady Gosnell. He left our department the end of May, and he wants to come back, and I have several openings, so I'd like to rehire him.
Did you say it was?
Brady Gosnell.
I'll move to approve Brady Gosnell for rehire.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the rehire of Brady Gosnell. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane.
Thank you.
You need anything else, Michelle?
That's it for now.
Okay, thanks. Michael King submitted a MetroNet contract for the phone line for the cemetery board. I think that mainly involves an answering machine for the main thing. I think you have that in this packet, don't you, Jane?
Yes.
Okay. This has a monthly cost of $5 a month. They're in the establishment of their office over there, and the way they want to do business going forward, they felt this necessary. So,
And
any,
Jeff looked at, that's something he has looked at.
It's the same as the one we just did for tourism.
yeah, it's,
But there's like
Pretty
$12, the other one. But there's like $12 for the other one.
Don't remember.
yeah, I don't
They
recall
wanted,
either.
they wanted email also, the tourism wanted it like telephone and email, so I think this is just a phone,
Just a,
phone line.
I'll make a motion that we approve this MetroNet.
second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to approve the MetroNet contract for the Fayette County Cemetery Board. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. Okay. Area Plan Commission Director Bill McDaniel. Bill, do you have anything for us today?
There's 3 things. And one would be, and I was going to suggest anyway, is to, not until your next meeting, for the deal with the home-based business zoning code amendment, because next week's the city council, and I have no idea what they might do to it, so. So what I'll have ready is if there's, of course, if there's any amendments to it, it's got to go back to the Area Plan Commission. Actually, you could probably cover it, that's right, it's going to be after this. So they would have to actually wait until December to actually deal with any amendment to it. So hopefully there won't be, so then that way is the county commissioners can then act on the home-based business. The first meeting of December, I'd really like to do that if all possible. And we'll also prepare is the actual amendment and then an amended fee schedule to include the fees related to home-based businesses. Okay, then I have two other items, tour updates. One is the update for with my knee. And And, yeah, I am gonna need a full knee replacement, and I wanna try to do that as early as I can in the year. What'll be contingent upon is, two things really, will be the timing, will be the funding for the, increase in, contractual services funding for someone to cover me, because it could be, surgeon said it could be up to 6 weeks before I'm probably good before I should be okay to actually go back on construction sites. So it could be up to 6 weeks. Whoever would be in place, I would also then end up needing to then spend time at the front end of it to get them up to being able to run with the permit software. And I think that then at the start of the year is that, and then sit back, because I have some things I will want to do about any contractual services related to the two major projects we're looking at for next year, which would be RAID, and then also the solar energy project. Now, which leads me to the segue to the third point. And when I was out of the office yesterday at the doctor, the proponents for the solar energy farm, they dropped off an application. So once they drop off an application, yes, it is public. So I don't know when they're going to want to get started, but I don't know how many of you read the email I sent earlier today, but it'd probably be a good idea to then start working on and then start discussing with the people, the Hoosier Solar, to start working on get a really nice jump on what needs to be done as far as the various agreements that we've talked about. So we can get that going, and then we have a parallel process going with then review of the application. Now, being only 4 weeks, I don't know if it needs sufficient time to really be able to actually have the special exception for the solar farm on the agenda for December. So an option would be either the regular January meeting, or the possibility this might be one of the Plan Commission members may feel it's important enough to them when we have members of the committee we're putting together to review the actual the application, to then, if so it's important enough and we make quick enough progress, to have then something in place to then say a special meeting to deal with that petition for the zoning board. So that's where we stand with those three things. So any questions from any of the members, commissioners?
Anybody got any questions for Bill?
I don't.
Okay, so now the first stop for your ordinance is going to be over at City Council.
Yeah, yes, but, because I know it was about 3 weeks ago, I sent an email out with them, but before I leave, I can give you all fresh copies of it, paper copies. And so you can take a look at those. You have any questions crop up in the meantime, just always don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions. Then I'll have the actual the amendment to the fee schedule. I'll also have that prepared for your first meeting in December.
Okay.
Because in December I also want to, at the council meeting in December, I also wish to update the county council about what's going on as far as the knee and then help for when I'm out of the office after the knee replacement. Ordinarily most ordinarily would have preferred to keep as particularly private, but this is one time we really can't, and so I don't have a problem with it, because it's important enough that I want to ask you and speak with the Plan Commission and then also with the council that it's more public than I prefer, but this is one case that needs something with my health. Health does need to be public.
Well, I wish you luck with that. I think you're too young to be having parts replaced. But
Yeah. Well, not that far behind you, maybe by 10 years?
well, 10 years is 10 years.
Yeah. Well, it's just injuries caught up with it. And so on one side of the knee, there is no cartilage left.
Yeah.
It's bone on bone with the one knee. So, which is why after Montana, I have the noticeable limp now. So I'll take care of this before that gets worse, and then it could cause other problems with my physical mechanics.
You have an assistant, so he'll be able to help you, right?
What's that?
You have someone who'll be able to assist you and help you during this time for 6 weeks?
Oh, you're talking about in the office?
Mhm.
No, I don't have anybody. I don't think that was actually provided in the budget this year for someone in the office. So it's, I still wear 3 hats: the administration, the zoning, and then also the planning. So, no, it's these, so I don't like the idea of it being, but I think that if anything gets slowed down a little bit, it might be if anything, get someone in place for the inspections, well, that'll be good. But as far as anything that gets a little more complicated with on the planning side, that'll be a little bit slower, because it could be 2 or 3 weeks before I'm released to come back into the office, and 3 to 4 weeks before I'm probably, maybe 3 to 4 weeks before I'm released to actually drive a car. And that's, a big part of that's because it's my right knee, and then, of course, the brakes and gas. So, but no, so I don't have anybody in the office to help me cover a lot of that stuff. And fortunately, with the phone calls, Gail answers whatever questions she can, but a lot of things really still need me.
How would the inspections work then during that time?
Well, if I have someone in place, it would be done comparable when Mr. Crawford's been doing the inspections,
Oh,
when I
that's
was
who I
taking my
was thinking of,
vacations.
Mr. Crawford.
Yeah. So, for that extended period of time, I don't know if he would be willing to do that for that extended period of time. Otherwise, we'd have to find someone who has a construction background to sign a contract to do the inspections for really, it's kind of undetermined period of time. But then also making sure that the rate of the pay is going to be sufficient that we can get someone who's familiar with all the construction trades to handle inspections.
Yeah. I was thinking we had approved Mr. Crawford already for you, so.
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
limitations on the hours and the rate, because I have with Mr. Crawford in the past. But, and like I said, this could be 6 weeks or so. So I don't know if he'd be willing to do that. I don't blame him. I mean, it's, we're friends, and I don't wish to impose on him, because he's helped me out greatly on these vacations, but I don't really want to impose on our friendship. So.
You will be talking to him about it, won't you?
Oh yeah, I already sent him an initial email, and it's kind of, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. That would simplify my life, if that's the case. And so that would simplify my life. That means that I could possibly get in sooner to take care of my knee.
Okay. Now, on your suggested solar committee, how soon do you want us to act on that?
I think that since this is coming through, I think that probably be a good idea, maybe first part of December or so, after the Thanksgiving holidays, to have the first meeting. And so I think part of that would be, okay, these are the type of agreements, this is the responsibilities we're going to have with the committee. These are the voting members, and then Jeff and myself, of course, are just staff to help. And then whoever else might be involved with the project at various points in time, such as Mr. Mackey and then also Mr. Havlin. So I think just basically kick it off, and then I would ideally then have the representative then from the Hoosier Solar there to actually start going through some of the various documents and the various agreements that they work on. And we're also very fortunate, and Jim's also familiar with this process from over in Rush County.
Okay, if you remember, Bill sent us a list of names consideration from the solar committee.
Yeah.
And if you have any other ideas, you know, certainly make that known. Do I remember right, there was a list of 5?
Yeah, what I suggested on it is in the case of, well, we could have a maximum of, say, 4 plan commission members on it. And, but with those would be that, you know, Mr. Durham indicated he'd have an interest on it. He's the plan commission president. Okay, well, Dale, of course, is the plan commission representative for the commissioners, but I know he also has the other job, but we would need one commissioner involved with it, just one, so we don't trigger open meeting requirements. Then probably 3 members of the council, and I mean, not to step on the toes for the county council with it, but I think since part of the council and commissioners representatives are that they're also basically also function as a liaison between the plan commission and the boards they serve on. So with but I think that, you know, one of them I think ideally should probably be Mr. Stewart, and then at the various points in time, of course, would be you know, Jay and Bill, and then but yeah, and I think that's pretty much the ones I covered.
So you do have Dale Munson as a part of this on there?
Yeah, so the question would be whether or not Dale feels that he has sufficient, he can actually, how flexible his time is with it, because he's you know, with his schedule and how that works with him down at the emergency management. But if Dale does, is I don't know how far ahead of time do you actually schedule out your shifts?
We're scheduled, I'm scheduled a year out,
Oh, okay.
but I've talked with Clint, I can
Okay.
work with some schedules I can work with.
Okay, that's great, yeah. So we could work with, then what Dale's schedule is, since he said he's scheduled a year out, so. So that would probably be good right there then with Dale.
I think that's what, I felt that is required, that a commissioner should be on that, so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
there should.
All right, that's good.
And I think that one aspect of it is also, since Dale is also, and also with, you know, with the plan commission, I think it would be a good idea. I think it would be a good decision. As it's as say if it's you, or if it was Commissioner Strong, then we would have, then you'd have, then come back, then you translate what's going on, then back to then the progress to the other commissioners. It'd be the same thing with the council.
Well, could we be settled on these, this committee membership by our next meeting? And that'd give us 3 weeks from today to have that together, and then that evening, we could,
Yep.
the council meeting that evening, and
Yep.
get it all taken care of, and then you guys can go with it.
Sounds like a winner to me. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd like to get moving on this, and it sounds like the developers really want to get moving with this also. So, which does lead to the longer term issues that to deal with at the start of the year. It would be then, you know, someone with time, and then also some of the skills for both Reed and then also the solar energy project. The actual installation of the lines and the individual panels, those are pretty straightforward. But let's face it, is the construction of an electric substation that's kind of goes beyond what I'm capable of. Just like a lot of the work that we go on at Reed, it's the amount of time that would be involved, and a lot of the things that will have to happen. And no doubt it's going to be a steel structure, and it's the large steel frame structures. I mean, you need someone who knows that stuff. And then because once both those projects get going, I suspect they're going to both demand a lot of time from whatever I'm doing, then whoever we may have under contract to do do inspections. So so I need to do some research into how other places have handled that, and then as far as options for getting some of these inspections done. And, whether it's something that we can do through negotiations and then some of our choice. As far as then sort of like what's going on with the attorneys related to the agreements over the solar energy, I really don't know, but they still have a pretty fair number of questions to answer before we get to that point. But I think at the start of the year that's something I'll need to really work on.
Yeah, well, we will get through it somehow,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, did you have anything else, Bill?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, well, thanks for reporting on this.
Okay.
And we'll get this these committee assignments lined up for our next meeting.
Okay, and, okay, I did send them, but it's
Okay.
the markup. In the meantime is, as you have, so what we can do is so you have questions on these, please don't hesitate to ask to, if I can possibly enlighten you with anything with it. And/or if, and because I know we've talked about this for a while, so any of the questions that you may have, how this is preparing from the existing one, the reasons why, and what we're trying to do, particularly with having the tiered system, and then differentiating between what might be appropriate in town, what might be appropriate out in the county. And what else I have, and this is the small amendment that we would need to make to the, that would need to be made to the, as far as the fee schedule. And I'll have that also in the language for you also. So if we don't get any changes we need to worry about from the county council, we can have both of those ready to take care of those then at the first meeting in December. I hope we'll be at that point.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Bill.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Highway Department, Jay, do you have anything to
Just a
report?
couple of things.
Pardon?
I contacted the people, we went down and looked at the first cut machine at, and they have yet to send a quote on what it's gonna come to. So I don't know what's holding them up, but he was kinda, when I told him we wanted a 30-foot boom on it, he said you can't put the knuckle on it, they talked about putting on it because of the stretching the hydraulics out that far. They don't have enough hydraulics out there to work the knuckle and the boom at the same time. So it's not an option for it, but I told him we just do without the knuckle because we really need the 30-foot boom. I don't know if that's holding him up or what's holding him up, but I'll keep trying to get a hold of him and get back with him. And I called about bridge work over there on 44, and I never did get an answer back from them, so I'll keep trying to get a hold of them too.
Okay.
It might be we were too late because, like you said, it might have been they should have done it before they got started over there.
Yeah, well, it's worth inquiring about regardless. Now that machine that we went to Greensburg and looked at, I don't know if he was listening or not. I offered that guy $150,000 for one of those, and he got all choked up and wouldn't
I know.
say anything. But I did know that Decatur County gave $214,000 for that.
Yeah, that was the quote he quoted to me on just on the 26-foot boom and the mowing deck. The way it's set up the way it is, without the arms on the front or anything like that. It's what he did send me that one to start with. I told him I wanted to quote on the rest of the stuff on it too, so we know exactly how much to get what we was talking about. before it was done. Because if you're gonna have them arms on the front, you gotta put them on before they build the rest of the machine. Because they gotta be on that, built into that front end. He did tell us that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe he'll have a quote for you before long.
I hope so. We've got the old one over at McCombs is over there, and he's trying to beef the arm up so we can get through the winter on it and do something with it, if it'll hold.
What do you think about that outfit down there?
Well, I thought it was quite interesting. He said, what, a 7-month delivery
Yeah, 7 months.
after order?
They build it when you order it.
Wouldn't you really need that knuckle so you can change the angle on
Well,
some of these hills that you
If
go?
we were talking about just getting the mulching head instead of the brush cutter,
Yeah,
then you wouldn't, I don't think you would need it mowing with that mulching head,
yeah,
because it should have an angle on it by itself
yeah.
built into it.
Yeah, I thought it was an impressive. I'd like to seen it run.
Yeah, been nice to see it operated out on the road.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say probably wouldn't be too hard to catch those guys working with it down there.
No.
But it's certainly a step up from what we've got.
Well, yeah, because it's built strictly for what you're doing with it. It's not a tractor with an arm added to it. That's the difference. It's made for it. And I like the idea you can turn it around the middle of the road. You don't have to pull up and back up and turn it swinging around. The way the steering is on it makes it ideal.
Yeah, it sounded like they were having about the same trouble you're having with the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
They were having with theirs.
Because the first one we had down there was a small Tiger mower with an arm attachment on it. That thing had been beefed up so many times you couldn't stick it out level because it'd pick the other side tractor up, even with the weight you had on it. You just got to where you got too much weight on it.
Okay, well, maybe by our next meeting, you'll have a
Hopefully.
quote. I mean,
And they did get down and finally get the chip box put back together.
did they?
Yeah. So we'll be taking it up to the park in the next couple of days, put it in the building up there.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Now that I can think of.
I think you gotten down on the 121, the bridge down there that you were gonna, you had shared with me about some work that you were having Mike Coon do. Have you gotten started on that, or has he gotten started on
On
it yet?
121?
They're at 480, Helltown Bridge.
Right, the Knoll
Oh,
Town
Knowltown Bridge.
Yeah,
He's cleaned it out. I talked to him this morning. It's done, and he's moving down
going on there.
580.
Yeah.
Okay,
That project.
Yeah,
that's
he's
good.
fixing to start on a can down there.
That's
And then he's gonna
good.
go up on 75, he said, after that one, if the weather lets him do it.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Bill Mackey, County Surveyor, do you have anything for us today?
Yep. Got the general engineering service agreement with Butler Fairman on the community crossings for next year that needs signed. Here's a copy of it if you want to glance at it real quick. Just pretty much standard what you've done all the years before for community crossings. I'll give you all a copy of it. And then you got one for the just the signature page. Because Bruce Byers, he's open pretty much the whole first week of December in order to come down and do the special meeting. So I guess it's up to you guys to pick a date in there and a time. That'll be the one I'll need signed. I've got this copy to send back. But yeah, he's pretty much open to any time, any day, about the first whole week of December there. So whatever, Dale's schedule is, he's off. Normally you do that in the afternoon, like to do it. So he's pretty flexible, he said. So if you want to go ahead and set a date and a time, and then Jane can do her special advertise. How many days you need for a special meeting, Jane, to advertise?
48 hours.
Oh, okay. But he would like to go ahead and have that because he'd like to get as soon as possible on the first of the month because
he would like to go out and drive the roads that you pick and everything, and have, have time to do that before he starts doing his estimates and everything.
Okay, well, I'll make a note here. Well, let's try to fit Bruce Byers in on the first week of December, one way or the other, because we got to get that, if we're going to stay with the first round of community crossings grants, we got to have that done in December. And he'll have the updated Pacer maps and all that, won't he?
Should.
Okay. And Jay, you can be looking around.
I could get some in mind, and Roger, if you want me to go ahead and send them to him when I come up with them, so he can, if he wants to run down and look at them, he can.
Yeah. Well, if he can do his running around and looking before he meets with us, that'd speed things up a little bit for him.
Okay.
Okay, so all you need today is approval.
Yeah, the general engineering service agreement. And then, like I said, if you want to,
The general agreement for engineering services.
they've got the price for the initial stuff. Of course, the bid documents, construction services to be determined later. You can't really do anything with that right now.
Okay, but we know for sure it'll be 19,600.
Yeah, this initial part, and then
Yeah.
of course the other will be determined later.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the general engineering service agreement with Butler, Fairman, and Seifert.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the general engineering services agreement for the 2023 community crossings projects. Is there any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. We'll go ahead and take care of this signature page for you right now, Bill.
Okay.
Do you need a copy of this,
I'll email her one.
Jane?
I'll email her one.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So do you want to try to do a date today for that, or do you want to let me know later, or for the meeting?
I don't have my calendar with me,
I don't either.
but I'm,
Okay.
well, the first week of December only contains Thursday and Friday. And
Well, we can do it the next week. I mean, he wasn't exactly talking those 2 days, so you could do it the following week.
Okay, so it'd be somewhere between the 5th and the 9th.
Can we do the 6th in the morning? We got meeting in the afternoon at 2, so.
Yeah,
We could do it in the
afternoon's
morning.
fine. Either way, he didn't really care. I know we normally do it in the afternoon, so
Well, we got commissioners meeting in the afternoon on the 6th.
on the
We can
6th,
do
yeah.
it.
So if we could
Do you want to do it that morning?
We can do it that morning. or-
Yeah, we could. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be able to come down.
Sounds okay
Was
with
it
me.
usually take an hour or so?
About 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that,
Okay,
10's fine.
sounds good.
10
Okay.
o'clock on the 6th. We'll do it. I'll let you know.
Okay, we'll set that for 10 a.m. December 6th, right here,
Okay.
all right? While you're here, Bill, we might as well mention too that we, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony this morning and officially opened bridge number 90.
Yes, we did.
That
Yes, we
project
did.
now complete.
Yep. In fact, it was open probably 30 minutes after we left. They took the barricades down and opened her up. fact, Dick and I drove across it after
Okay.
that. So,
Good.
So all those that are listening at home right now, we've got good news for you. Waterloo Road is open to traffic.
yeah,
So,
so quit calling Jay.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're sorry that it had to be delayed. Those were circumstances out of our control.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
but it's a good-looking bridge, and it'll far outlast us.
Yep, sure will.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
County Attorney, do you have anything?
Not yet.
Okay. Anyone have any mail they need to share?
No.
Anyone have anything under old business? Okay, under new business, we have the proposed ordinance regarding the sheriff's sale fees. And the reason for this is the Indiana statutes have changed some, so this ordinance brings us up to date with the current statute, and it does adjust the sheriff's fees for those sales a little bit. Jane, do you want to address that any at all?
No, you did great.
Okay, so the new rate will be $180 per case?
Yes.
On sheriff sales?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what the current rate is?
No. And I knew you would ask me that, and I should have been prepared.
I don't remember either.
Move to approve the ordinance 2022-03.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve ordinance number 2022-03, establishing the sheriff's sale program and service fee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. Okay. We're honored to have with us today Mr.
Ken Paus.
Mr. Ken Paust and Mr. Jeff Plaster, both Wayne County Commissioners. And Jeff, if you want to present your information on the letter to the EDA that we have in front of us today,
That'd be
please
great.
do so.
So you have copies in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm not sure which letter you have. I sent a draft, and then I also have copies that the Wayne County Commissioners actually adopted last week. Do you have this one?
I'll tell you what we did. Yesterday, I had our county auditor take your final draft
Great.
and put it on our letterhead
Perfect.
because I couldn't find anything wrong with it.
Well,
That's great.
thank you.
And, you know, I can be kind of critical, but I couldn't find anything to complain about on that. So I asked Jane, could you just put our names on their letter? And she did. So
Well.
that's what we have here.
Great. So, I'm Jeff Plaster. I'm the Executive Director of the Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission for the next 6 weeks. Retire at the end of the year. I've been in this position for a little over 5 years. So we have a relatively new organization. Most of the regional organizations around the state have been around for 40 or 50 years. And so we're just kind of getting started. When we originally completed a plan for the region, we worked under the Department of Agriculture's program called the SET plan, S-E-T. That stood for Stronger Economies Together. So we worked under the Department of Agriculture guidelines. We worked with the Purdue Center for Regional Development, and we spent about 18 months developing that plan in what was then a 5-county region, Randolph, Wayne,
Union, Fayette, and Rush counties. We were assured all along the way that that plan would be acceptable to the Economic Development Administration as the equivalent of a CEDS plan, CEDS, which stands for Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. As it turned out, it never quite passed muster with the Economic Development Authority, and so when it came time to create a new plan, we decided to work under the EDA's guidelines on the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. So we have been working on that for about 18 months. We have a draft plan. It is posted on our website, and we've sent it out to about 400 people who have participated in the planning process over the last 18 months. It's out for public comment at this point, and we're encouraging people to take a look at the plan and then go to either our website or a site that Purdue has sent up with a link to a survey for public comment. Once we get that public comment, in the next 2 weeks, we'll cut that off and we'll make adjustments to the draft based on public input again. Again, I want to emphasize we had over 300 people that showed up at meetings. Now, remember, we were in the midst of COVID during that time, so we had 24 public meetings. 18 of those were Zoom meetings, but we did do 6, 1 in each county, that were face-to-face meetings after COVID had substantially subsided. So we have input from over 300 people as we put that plan together. We're just about ready to submit that to EDA for what we hope will be relatively quick approval. One of the steps is to have the member counties give us a letter of support saying that, as you saw in the letter, you agree to continue your membership with ERPC, and that you believe the plan is in the best interest of the region, and that you support that, and you'll be active members towards implementation of that plan. So we're traveling around the region to talk to the commissioners directly. Each of the counties has at least one county commissioner who's a member of the board. So yours, of course, is Dale, and Dale's been very active. Dan Parker is also a member of the board, and in fact, at our meeting last month, he was elected the chair for 2023. So in just a few weeks, Dan will be taking over the volunteer leadership of the organization. Dan and Ken together are providing leadership for the transition committee, and so we do have a job posting out, and they will be leading the search committee that will hire the new director who will start in January. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have on the letter or on the organization or on the CEDS plan. And then I've got a couple of other documents here that I'll pass out.
Yeah, I've got
You've got an electronic copy.
electronic version of it.
I'll be happy to send that out again, and I could include Jane, and you could make sure it gets to anybody that would like to see it. This is, there, as members, there are dues to pay. We established early on when we started the organization that those would be set at 40 cents per resident of each county. And so You see the dues there on the second page. The population, when we started out, we used the census estimate of 2014. We then, as soon as the 2020 census was completed in 2021, we started using those numbers, and that is what we base the dues on. We did, for the two years of COVID, we reduced the dues, we cut them in half, and we tightened our belts to make sure that everybody could afford to remain as a member of the organization. This year, the board decided that when I leave, and I've been a part-time employee for the last 5 years, but when I leave, they would like to hire a full-time employee going forward. So they wanted to increase the dues back to where they originally were at 40 cents per resident. And so that's the number that you see there in front of you for Fayette County, $9,156.80. I knew we were going to be here, so I thought I'd go ahead and bring these down to you. We typically send them out the 1st of December, and then they're due by the end of January. So that's one document. The other is appointment forms for board members. So I just have a set here that I'll give to you, Dale. Each county that is a member has a certain number of appointments to the board, and that's set by Indiana statute. So for a county the size of Fayette, anything less than 50,000, they have an appointment of a commissioner's appointment. They have, and that can be a commissioner, which we encourage, so that the leadership of the counties is always represented on the board. But it doesn't have to be. By statute, it can be any resident of Fayette County that you would choose to appoint. I would continue to encourage you to have a commissioner as part of the board. There also is an appointment for the county council, and that appointment must be a county council member. I think I also included an appointment form for the county council with those, Dale. And then the 5 largest incorporated cities or towns within the county each have an appointment, and that person needs to be a resident of that incorporated town or city. Because of the situation here in the geography, what we have done is we've just allocated Connersville to that appointment. Glenwood, though it's part of Glenwood, is in Fayette County. The bulk of it is in Rush County, and so that's counted in the Rush County appointments. So there are 4 additional appointments then. There's Connersville, and then the other 4 are appointments that the Fayette County Commissioners make, and those are referred to as at-large appointments, and they can be from anywhere in the county. At this point, your appointments are Dan Parker, Kay Riker Payton, Scott Bevington, and Carol Hunter, and then Darrell Strong is your commissioner appointment. So those folks have been, I would say, as a group, some of the best participators from any county in the region. You do have the ability to reappoint them if they're interested in continuing to participate, but you also can replace them. They're 1-year appointments, and you can appoint whomever you choose. If you're looking at reappointing or if you're looking at new membership, I would encourage you, based on my 5 years of experience, I would encourage you to have a conversation with those folks and say, look, we really need people who, number 1, are able to attend the meetings, and number 2, want to participate in the committee work and really move the organization forward. And I'll tell you why I say that. You know, there are really 2 ways to have a successful organization. One is to have one that's led by staff, The other is to have leadership from the volunteer membership. We have essentially one employee. Technically, we have 2 part-time employees, but it's less than 1 full-time equivalent. That's not enough to run an organization that covers 6 counties and has the breadth of commitments that this organization has. So we need some committed volunteers to help round out the work of the organization. So I would encourage you to have that conversation and do your best to get folks who have a sincere interest. As I've said, your 4 appointments, and certainly Dale, have been very active, and we certainly appreciate that. I want to ask Ken to say a few words. Ken has been the chair for the 5 years that I've been the director. And he can tell you how important it is to have volunteers that are willing to step up. Dan Parker is one of those volunteers that has stepped up. We need a lot more Dan Parkers and Ken Pousts. Ken is actually leaving the board at the end of this year. He'll be hard to replace. Dan has stepped up to take on the leadership of the board, and we tremendously appreciate all the work that he's done. Of course, he has the perspective of being the head of the Economic Development Group here. That's very important. We've tried very hard to keep all of the economic development staff involved in the organization. Of the 6 counties membership, 4 of the directors are members of the board, and the other 2 participate when the opportunity arises. But the way the board membership is handled by statute, they weren't all able to participate because of where they lived and the appointments that were available. If you think through what I said about the 5 largest communities having appointments, that means that the county seat typically just has 1 appointment, and so that typically has been the mayor, and that most of the economic development staff live in the county seat, and so they're not eligible to be appointed. So that's our challenge. Ken, do you want to say a few words? I'll just close my comments by saying we really appreciate Fayette County involvement in this organization. I really feel strongly that we are going to sink or swim as a region, not so much as individual counties. And in particular, when I say that, I'm talking about the economy of the region is very mobile. If you look at a chart of the commuter migration of the workforce for this region, it is completely interchangeable. People go from Fayette County, where they live, to work in Wayne County or in Henry County, and vice versa. There's so much movement back and forth that it's really, in this day and age, impossible to draw a workforce for a business all from one county. There has to be that mobility and that willingness to move around. We have that. We need to continue to work together. The economic development directors work together on a very regular basis. And even though in the past we've viewed each other as competitors, I think the trend is to view each other as kind of teammates, and how can we help you and how can you help us, and recognizing that if there's an economic development win in any of our counties, all the rest of the counties are going to benefit because their citizens are going to find employment with that new organization. So thank you very much for your participation. Kenny?
Thank you, Jeff.
I hope I didn't leave too much out for you to have to say.
I think you can understand, Jeff's been with us for 5 years, and it has been an excellent organization to work with. Jeff's part-time, I hope you know that, but he's actually been full-time for us for 5 years. He's been very dedicated to it. And in his remarks, you know, he's always made my job easier, because the time he gets done talking, there isn't anything left that I could say that you haven't already heard. But he has been very good, and I can't say enough about what Jeff's done. And actually, we're preaching to the choir here. Fayette County has been exceedingly good. You've participated over the years. Dan's certainly got his work cut out for him. We have a 40-member board. We worked very hard to get all those members to come up to Richmond for the meetings. They have to drive. As Dan and I are looking for a replacement, depending on who the individual is that we hire, the location of the Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission could be in any one of the 6 counties that we have, depending on where that new director might live. It could be right here in Fayette County, for example. It could be an office out in the big building that Dan has that he works in, and Jeff worked in for several years when he was with his university that he worked with down here. Is very familiar with the Fayette County area. I thank you for participating in this. Look forward to you in the future. And I'm going to digress a minute from Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, because Jeff said everything about it. Let's talk for a moment about your solar that you're just talking about. It's very interesting to hear your discussion. We've just spent 6 months with our planning commission and working to put our first solar ordinance together. It's 30 pages. We have a public hearing to have it actually coming up in another week. That we'll be looking at that and getting input from folks in the area. So I would invite you, if you would like, through your individual, get a copy of our ordinance. I can tell you that what we have is an original. We looked at Randolph County, who has a tremendous amount of experience, not only in solar, but as well as in the windmills, to see what they had run into and some of the problems that they had experienced over the years with this. So that in our ordinance that we put together, that we can make some corrections. And as you well know, the state has come up with some recommendations that they have, and you'll find in our ordinance that we're far more restrictive than what the state put together. So I invite you to be more than happy to send me a copy of that when we finalize that down to you. The other thing Jeff and I just whispered to ourselves when we heard about the knee replacement for individuals, if there was some way out of our building department that we might be able to assist you during the time when he's out, especially if you have a major inspection that may have to be done on a building project that we have. Maybe somehow we could send one of our inspectors down to assist you in that. Something, matter of fact, we're going to be meeting with our plan director when we get back. We're going to talk about that today, see if there's some way we can assist you on that, because I can assure you I went through that knee with my wife, and he's not going to be rushing back into the office in a couple days. I can assure you on that. So thank you again for your participation. We're looking forward to Dan taking over, and we're working hard on the search committee now. Our goal is to have a new replacement in place by the 1st of January, and someplace locating the office in the 6-county area. Wayne County's been happy to support that for the last 5 years. It's worked very well for Jeff and I, because our offices are right across from each other, and Wayne County's supplied all of his needs, office, secretarial-wise, computer-wise, and everything that way. So thank you again. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think Jeff, as I said, he's very good. His detail's always there.
Kenny's looking forward to Dan taking over as chairman of the board. I'm looking forward to you guys giving him a little bit of time so he can do the interviews and hire my replacement, so we can get that moving forward. But it's, again, appreciation to all of you, and please don't hesitate to call on myself during the next 6 weeks or the new director when they come on board. You get out of participation in an organization commensurate with what you put into it, and so we look forward to working very closely. I hope to be a board member going forward. I believe in regionalism. I think the work is important, and we can do so much more together than we can individually. It's something that we really need to do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Ken, thank you for your generosity, and Jeff, thank you as always for your insight and your wisdom. I've been a member of the Plan Commission for the last 4 years, and I've really enjoyed working with these fellas. I hate to see either one of them go anywhere, to tell you the truth, but I'll give either one of you an opportunity to say something to our listening audience that I don't know if I could come up with the right words or not. But how would you, we get questions sometime about, is the investment we make in these plan commissions worth the money? Where's the return? Well, we always get asked, where's the return? So if you don't mind, Jeff, could you highlight for everyone what we stand to lose from the EDA if we do not participate in these things?
A lot of governmental dollars, federal dollars, and to a certain extent state dollars now are being allocated by region. And so you must be a part of a region to be eligible to apply for funding for many different funding streams, including the Economic Development Authority, which is part of the Department of Commerce. I would say, personally, and most people refer to that as the main what's in it for us kind of answer. But I would say that is the least of it, because the benefit really is, and as I said earlier, you get out of the organization what you're able to put into it, the collaboration between counties, the time savings of getting new ideas from your fellow, whether they're commissioners or just citizens of other counties, is incredible. We in Wayne County have been able to take, as Ken was telling you, information about what Randolph County has done with solar energy, for example. And we have taken that, and it has put us far forward of where we would have been. We're not starting from scratch. And every member of the board, every community has been willing to share with their neighbors. Very early on, we started down the road of housing and recognizing in our region, which is a very rural part of eastern Indiana, we don't have new housing. There are not the housing starts that you see in a lot of other areas, more urban areas. And so we were able to pool our resources and get for each member, a housing study that is very good, done by an organization, Tracy Cross and Associates out of Chicago, that a lot of the Indianapolis area housing developers use in their assessment of the housing needs of a region. And so we were able to save probably $30,000 by working collaboratively. Everybody got their own study, but we were able to save those dollars by working together. And we've done that time and time again. We did that with a workforce study. We've done that with our current SEDS project. So there are a number of ways that we can collaborate, we can work together. There are synergies of working together that are going to take us far beyond where we can go individually. As a region, we have 7 legislators. As individual counties, mostly we have 2 legislators. I think there's 1 or 2 counties that have 3 because there's a small piece of the county that's part of another legislative district. But even with 7, it's tough to get things done in Indianapolis. But this group, URBC, was able to work with our state senator. He doesn't represent the whole region, but most of the region, Jeff Rotz, and we got legislation for a tax increment financing for single-family owner-occupied homes, which was not possible to do prior to us working together. We had folks from Rushville, we had folks from Winchester, and from Newcastle and Wayne County. I can't remember if Dale or Dan was there. Yeah. So we all went to Indianapolis. We talked to our legislators, and we were able to get that done in one legislative session. So we have strength working together that we don't have working as individual cities or counties. That's what I think is the real strength of a regional organization. And to me, you know, that's worth the $9,000 a year that we're asking Fayette County to contribute, and certainly worth the $4,500 that you've contributed the last 2 years when we were able to reduce the due structure. Going forward, you know, I think it's going to be more and more critical. Part of the SEDS document will include projects from each of the 6 counties that we think may be eligible for federal funding at some point in their development. The key to getting federal dollars is to apply for federal dollars. And a lot of times we think, well, it's too much work, we're not likely to get it. But if you consistently pursue it, you know, every now and then, even the blind pig finds the acorn, is that the saying? So we need to continue to work together. We need to know that it is possible, but we need to have a process, and we need to work that process. So there are a lot of reasons why Fayette County should be involved. There are a lot of reasons why Wayne County should be involved. All 6 of us need to stick together and work together, and it will tremendously improve what we're able to do for the economy and for our people. So, in a nutshell, probably took longer than you wanted me to, but it's not always about the money, but when you get questions like that, that's usually in the back of people's minds, and I understand that, I recognize that, but there are a lot of other ways we benefit other than just being eligible for federal grants.
Well, everybody likes to see quick results.
Absolutely.
So do I. But in this business, we are playing the long game.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, and then you see your neighbors, what they're getting, you wonder, well, why can't we do that? Well, we didn't participate.
We didn't start.
Right.
Yeah. Most of the big things that you read about in the paper are things that people have been working on for 10 or 20 years.
Right.
And it's finally come to fruition. So we've started. We need to stay the course. We need to keep working at it, and it will happen for Eastern Indiana. I have absolutely no doubt of that.
Does anybody have any questions for Jeff or Ken, either one?
Or for Dan. I know you talk to Dan all the time, but you haven't talked to him probably very often about regionalism. Dale has. He's caught the bug. He's pretty passionate about it. He was in it from the very, very early stages of actually framing a group out of nothing. And it's been a long road, but we've made steady progress, and I have no doubt that under Dan's leadership, we will continue to make good progress.
It puts the onus on you, doesn't it, Dan?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I gotta have somebody to blame if the thing falls apart.
three of you fellows and everything you do. About the letter to the Department of Commerce, do you want to put your signatures to this?
Yes. So I'll make a motion that we enter into this agreement with the, I'm going to say this correctly here, Economic Development Administration for Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion by Tracy, second by Dale to fix our signatures to this letter of recommendation to the U.S. Department of Commerce. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 3 ayes, Jane. I'll start, now you want to take a signed copy of this with this today, with you today?
If I could.
And then Jane, will you need a signed copy for the record? Okay, you've got another,
Yeah.
we'll take care of that one in a couple of minutes here. We'll hand this right straight to you. And we just got one more short item left on our agenda, and then sign our claims and payroll. It'll just take a few minutes. If you guys want to hang around, might be able to help you with something else that you mentioned
That'd be
in
great.
the email
Talk to you
yesterday,
about that.
okay?
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, our annual health insurance renewal is up. And as Jane explained, it's got to be done by this Friday. We can do it today, or you can have a special meeting.
I'm going to approve the health insurance renewal.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to approve the health insurance renewal agreement. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Jane. Is there any patron concerns from anyone? Okay. That only leaves claims and payroll.
Move to approve claims and payroll.
I'll second that.
Motion by Dale, second by Tracy, for claims and payroll. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. I'll start with this now here. MetroNet thing is only asking for one signature.
One signature in 5 places.
5 places.
Yeah. I had to go through there with all those signs here to make sure you didn't miss anything.
That, Zoom thing we have Thursday is fine. Is that the people that are checking the accounts and that we have to make sure that's
why they need this. So many places. The last one wasn't like this, was it?
I don't remember.
I wasn't the one signing it.
concludes our agenda.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
A motion by Dale, second by Tracy to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Folks, thank you all very much.